So, welcome again. Welcome to everybody. I don't see you. I don't see your faces. I just see your names, some of your names on the screen. So this is quite uncomfortable, quite strange, but we try to adapt to the circumstances. And as the rector said in the presentation, I hope to see some of you, or most of you, in presence as soon as possible in Pollenzo. So now, in a few seconds, I will share with you the presentation. Oh, thanks for showing your image, and of course, those who want to activate the video are welcome. Even if with the video we could have more problems of connection. So this is why the videos are normally off. So I will share with you now the presentation of this master program, Creativity, Ecology, and Education. And I am the director of this program. My name is Nicola Perullo. I am a professor of philosophy, professor at University of Gastronomic Sciences since the beginning, since 2004. And I have designed this master 2 years ago. So it is quite a new product. So next edition will be the third. It's quite new product. It is going very well. But now let's entering into the details of the program. Now I will share the presentation with you. And then after the presentation, of course, we are here for answering all your questions and inquiries about it. So, this is the title, Creativity, Ecology, and Education. These are the three keywords that I have chosen for explaining what is this master about. And the subtitle is also interesting, Food as a Powerful Means for Creativity and for Thinking in Practice. Before entering into the details of the program, just a word about creativity, which is quite a beautiful but also a ambiguous word. Creativity, we can mean it in at least two senses, two main fields, let's say, two big clusters. There is creativity as innovation, as projecting, as designing something. And this is one of the meanings that we will explore and we will analyze and work with in this program. Of course, there is a huge part on designing, on projecting, and on art. But there is also another sense of the word creativity, which is like living with the environment, living and adapting our life in a way that it is happier or more sustainable. I would say, with respect to the content of this master program, creativity as living in an ecological way, which is living in an ecological way can be considered a creative act, especially with respect to the times that we are living so far, and this last, well, not just this last COVID-19 period, but I mean the period of the industrialization of everything, of standardization of everything, of agriculture, and all the aspects of human life. So this is also very important, and this explains the ecology and education words. So creativity, ecology, and education means all that. A one-year master program based on 3 keywords: creativity, ecology, and education in food and gastronomy. So the program studies and discusses in depth these issues along the different steps, with a huge focus on experimental practices of teaching and learning, opening up ideas for new paths in food ecological education. This course aims to develop with the students strategic fields of creative thinking and designing. So this is just a resume of what I have just said, with the particularity also of a kind of teaching learning approach which is quite experimental and quite interactive. Of course, we are a university, a legal diploma, so we need to make credits, we need students to make exams in a proper way, but at the same time we try to offer an education that is not the conventional education of normal universities, in different aspects that I will try to describe in the following slides. The program is taught by both professors, academics, activists, artists, chefs, and practitioners. There is a huge set of people teaching in this program, as well as in the Pollenzo campus in general. We are very small, very small community, about 500 students, all considered, but we have huge number of guests, professors, experts, producers, scholars, and practitioners. And they are people that are actively engaged in food studies, in culture and philosophy and history and humanities of food, but also in science, and they are involved in production, in transformation and consumption and of food. Creativity in gastronomy, within the ecological framework that they highlight since the beginning, means, especially for us, facing with the most urgent problems of the contemporary scene. This is a master which is not so much, well, there are some, as you will see, some historical, cultural basics that will be given in the introductory part, but this master is very much focused on contemporary scene. It is a master that tries to think the present and the future. Of course, the past is important, but as it is related to the present and the future. So, environmental issues, social and political issues, scientific issues with respect of especially to food, so well-being, dietetics, nutrition, and issues that are related to knowledge and information. These are issues that we try to address very deeply in the program through the lenses of food. General information, of course, the language of the master is English. The duration is classically 12 months. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, we will delay this year the date of departure. Normally, the master starts in fall, in October, but because of the obvious circumstances, we will begin at the beginning of 2021, which means January. We don't know yet the date. We will communicate it as soon as possible because things are in constant evolution these days, as you know, but should be 99% in January 2021. The program have 70% of mandatory attendance, even if this year we will, of course, follow the circumstances and the situation. So we will have also to record all the classes and all the lessons. We will allow people that in the worst of the case could have some problems to move or to travel often from their place to Italy. We don't know what's happening next year for this pandemic situation, but once that someone is enrolled and is admitted in the program, if for circumstances that do not depend on the will, but on the objective reasons, we will provide all the instruments and all the teaching materials to study and to continue the course. So all the lessons will be recorded, and mandatory presence will be submitted to these particular circumstances. Normally, in normal situation, in normal years, the attendance is 70% from this year. The credits are 90 credits, and they are split in around 500 contact hours, which means hours of frontal teaching, hours of workshops, field trips, and everything. Internship is excluded from these 500 hours. So these hours are the didactic hours, the hours that concern the credits and the programs not considering the internship. We will say something about the internship later. The normal fees is 16 euros and 500. There are possibility of financial aid for Italian and US students, and here today we have our collaborator from the Secretary Didactic Office, Ilaria Galvagno, and she can give you more detailed information about these financial issues. I am not very expert about financial issues, so for financial issues or scholarship or financial aid, you have to ask to the Secretary Office, and today we have Ilaria Galvagno here. This is one of our room. This year, maybe we will have to follow some legal restrictions in terms of space. We are reorganizing the spaces in order to maintain the distance that is needed between people and all this. So maybe the situation that you are seeing in this picture will not be exactly what is going to happen this year, because there will be more space between the desks and the larger rooms for your class, for the classes of this program. So let's go to the structure of the course. Basically, the program is divided into 5 steps. There is a first part of the program, which I will detail in a few minutes, that is called Basics of Gastronomy. It's the first part. between the beginning of the master and April, let's consider the Easter break, the Easter holidays, as the ending point of this first part of Basics of Gastronomy. There is a second part that encompasses workshops, projects, tastings, roundtables, and this will take place in second part of the semester. So between April, after the Easter holidays, and the end of July. In this period, there will be a lot going on in terms of this interactive participant learning that I was speaking at the beginning. Also, this first part, Basics of Gastronomy, it is interactive, but this is more conventional and it is more frontal teaching. The second part is really more tied to the personal sensibilities and the different paths that students want to take after the first part. I will tell you something also about that. Then the third part of the program, which is we share with all the programs of the university, as you know, is the study trips program. Normally, the study trips are for the master courses 3, and we will maintain the 3 study trips program also this year. Of course, we are undergone to the restriction that we will have to take. So, of course, we want to plan study trips in Italy, and depending on the COVID emergency restrictions in Europe. We think it will not be possible to travel the forthcoming months outside Europe, so the free circulation as we have known. So we will rearrange the study trips in different locations, for sure in Italy, and we hope also in the European countries. Then, and the 3 study trips normally they start a few months after the beginning of the program. So I think that could be also in April, the beginning of a study trip. So it's not just in January when you start, but a few months later. And they go through the end of the didactic program, which is the end of July. After that, when the program is finished at the end of July, you will have the possibility to make an internship, and we have a very efficient career center that is in charge of the organization of internship. This organization follow tailor-made interviews with you during the year, and they try to give you suggestions or advices, or even to find places in which you can make the internship according to your goals and to your personal preferences. The internship is not mandatory. I mean, well, 90% of the students want to make internship in different realities, from farms, small artisanal realities to big industries. But there is a 10% that prefer to focus on personal research projects in according to with the director of the program. So we can agree upon a project that is a research that you want to conduct on your own, in remaining at university or studying or making research in different places, but not going in an internship. This is something that we leave the freedom to choose, and you don't have to choose at the beginning of the program, of course. You have months before making this choice. This part will take place in August, September, October, and this normally three months and a half of the period. 150 to 200 hours of internship is the minimum. You can also make more of this, of course, but this is the average, let's say. And then at the end of the process, you will have to write a final report or a research thesis. This will depend on the kind of engagement that you want to work on, in the sense that research thesis is more engaging and more complex, and it is required more work, much more work. Final report is more is lighter, it's easier. So, for example, for people that don't care about the grade, or they maybe have already started to work, they don't have the possibility to spend too much time on this project. So this will be explained at the beginning of the master. Don't worry, we don't have to enter into details about this now. So, basic of gastronomy. Basic of gastronomy, the first part, it is divided into 5 areas. Humanities, with food and history, food and sociology, food anthropology, food and cultural ecology. These are all short courses. The courses of the program, of the master program of 1 year, are all short courses, which is which means between 16 and 24 teaching hours. So they are pills that are provided for you to be well educated in the basics to get the next step, the step of someone that want to be expert in gastronomy from a creative point of view. Second area of basics of gastronomy is science and nutrition, and these areas encompasses dietetics and well-being, food psychology, and food science. Then we have art and design, food and art history, food design and art, sustainability, and food system design. What differentiates our master from the other master programs, especially the other master of gastronomy, is that the other master don't have this focus on art and design, for example. Also, the teachers, the lecturers of courses that have the same name, the teachers are different sometimes, but the areas are different, especially with respect to this art and design area, and also with respect to this area of philosophy and education. As I am a philosopher with a specialization in art and aesthetics, I am very sensible to this. So I wanted to give also a strong input coming from philosophy, education, and pedagogy, because I think that is in food is very important. So a course in theory of education, a course in philosophy, taste, and creativity of perception, and a course about identity and about eating, identity, and personality. The title is Identity, Parasitism, and Personhood. And then we have a final area, which is more about food politics and food gastrodiplomacy. Food diplomacy, you can see the title, Gastrodiplomacy, Food Activism, Agroequity and Advocacy, and Cooking Skills and Education. The second part, so once that you made all these short courses from January to April, you will start the second part. The second part is divided into 3 areas that are the areas, the 3 keywords of the program: creativity, ecology, and education. And here you will find a huge menu of encounters, lecturers, seminars, roundtables, shorter courses of just a few hours, or made by sometimes again academics, but in this part more experts, more practitioners, more professionals. So agroecology, edible gardens, creative process with a lot of chefs, art and crafts, food and drink writing, food photography, food publishing, etc. I just put some examples because this is also a part which is more fluid, which is adaptable also to the different circumstances and also the different kind of class that we have, because what is important is to understand that in a master program, the dynamic of the class is always changing. Every year is different, depending on the background of the people, the different situation. And so I want to make also a part which is not totally prefixed and already cooked in advance, but just to use this metaphor, until a certain extent, we also cook together and we adapt this part to the current situation. The part about ecology will offer a deepen of circular economy. For example, we had in the last 2 years a focus on ethics of vegetarian diet. We had a course on sustainable thinking. We had a course on socioeconomic dimensions of food, etc. And then we have a huge part, which is education, that encompasses all the tastings. We put the tastings under the label of education because it is a matter of education, to learning to taste and learning the products through taste. And for example, foraging and wild herbs, tastings, wine, bread, tea, coffee, cheese, spirits, chocolate, experiences in fine dining restaurants and osteria, and other practical parts, but also some classes about not tasting, but food criticism and journalism, for instance. The goal of this part is to provide, as I said, a huge menu in which each student find his way and create his own path and process. In what sense? In the sense that we will leave around 100 hours of the plan to specific activities according to the different goals, sensibilities, and preferences of the students. And we will create 3 subgroups of the class. One about creativity, one about ecology, one about education. And these 3 subgroups will lead some specific activities. I mean, everyone follow this, but as you follow this, you may decide that you are more interested in education processes or in ecological issues. So you will follow also the creativity part, you will follow also the education part, but you will be a smaller group, let's say 8 people, for example, and these 8 people will work specifically on deepening further some ecological thoughts and projects, or some creativity projects, etc. So it will be something like this. Around 500 hours. There are about 250 hours that are about basics of gastronomy, 220, 250, I don't remember exactly, but it's about this. There are 150 hours about these common workshops and project part, and we arrive at 400, and then 100, which is this tailor-made program. At the end of this, each student will create a final portfolio, a creative portfolio with all the experiences, the projects, the sketches, and the ideas that she develops during the program. And this will be also like an ID of the program, individual ID. So not just a curriculum. So when you finish, you will not just have a curriculum, but you will also have a portfolio that you can show, that you can share with the people with which you want to share your work or you want to introduce yourself. Well, that is more or less the program in pills. The study trips I already mentioned. It's of course one of the hot parts of the University of Gastronomic Sciences. They are really engaging, they are really emotional. This year, before the COVID-19, students went to Sicily for the Italian study trips. Then it was planned a trip to Spain, Catalonia, that was supposed to be in April, so they couldn't go there. They were unlucky. And then it was they were supposed to go to Ecuador in May. So these were the 3 study trips: Sicily, Spain, and Ecuador. And we designed a program that was fitting into the creative and ecological issues mainly. So just to give you an example of the destination. So we will see where your destination will be next year. The internship or research project already mentioned. The career center is at your disposal, and the choice between the final report and research thesis. The application deadlines this year will be end of September. So the application process is already in running. We already have students, a lot of students that are that made the application, but there is still time, and then we will make a selection, admission evaluation that is based on a motivational letter, on the curriculum and presentation, and that's it. Sometimes we also require, if we want to know more, a Skype call, but it depends. This is the fee. And the admission requirements are the following: an undergraduate or first level degree, a good English, of course, because the master is taught in English, and the evaluation, the positive evaluation of the dossier and motivations. You can also attend the master as auditor, which means that you don't have to take the exams, so you will not get the diploma. You will not get the diploma of master. You will get the certificate of attendance to the master. But sometimes you have students that they don't have some of these requirements, like, for example, they have not a degree, an undergraduate degree, or they just come for the sake of cultural desire. For example, people that are more aged, and sometimes they don't need to get a diploma, and they attend as auditors. We have every year few cases. Okay, these are the infos and admissions addresses, Secretariat at unisg.it. And in short, to finish, this master program is for people that have a strong attitude toward creativity, toward lateral thinking, that want to challenge themselves with new ways of thinking through gastronomy and food, and very much engaged in the contemporary scene. The average age of students on this program for the last 3 years, it was about, I think, about 30. 28, 30. We had a few very young, from 23, 22, and the older were people of 40, about in the 40s. So normal, the average is 30. Infos about financial aid. I don't know if Ilaria want to say something, and then I will speak about the career perspectives. Ilaria, please.
Yes, hi everybody. For financial aid, so for this master program we have one total exemption, one total fee exemption, which will cover the entire fee of the master. But of course, there are some requirements that have to be verified. The requirements to get this total fee exemption are mainly 3. The first one is being a citizen from low-income countries, or lower middle income, or upper middle income. And the second one is being in a possession of an English language level of C1, minimum C1, and this level will be verified by an interview with an UNISG professor. And the third requirement is being admitted to the master program with a minimum score of 80 out of 100. Remember that the score is the result of the evaluation of your dossier, which is one of the 2 steps of the application process. Your dossier will be evaluated by the convenor, and if you meet these 3 requirements, you can apply for the total fee exemption. We have also some financial aid for Italian students and US students. And for this, I would suggest you to visit our website. In the page dedicated to this particular master program, you will find a page called Scholarships and Financial Aid. And here you will find all the detailed information for getting a financial aid for Italian students and US students. I will write in the chat here the contact of my colleague of the student office, which is in charge of giving you all the detailed information about scholarships. She is also available for callings or video calling, so you can email her. I will write here her email address. Just a minute. Okay. So it's m.barra@unisg.it. You can email her, and she will reply very soon.
Okay. We have a lot of questions. Just a review of them, so short answer. First of all, what kind of background is expected as a participant for this master? There are really different backgrounds. We had students that come from culinary arts and students that come from graphic engineering. We had 2 years ago a student that worked for Apple in Cupertino in California as graphic engineering, and he applied to our master program. Some of them come from social science studies, communication studies. There is not an ideal background. The background which we are looking for is someone that is very passionate about food and gastronomy, not as there are some practical exercises in the kitchen as well, because in some courses we give this, but it's not our main purpose. So people that want to attend this master, they really want to use food as a tool, as a means, rather than just an object of study, because we deepen the study of food as an object, as a field, but we do it in this transversal way. And this is why the background are also very mixed, and all of them can be good. We take advantage as a group all these different backgrounds. So also for people that already done culinary studies and worked in hospitality for years would be interesting. Some of the topics would be already known by the students. Well, for my experience, as far as I have seen, students that did culinary studies and worked in hospitality, they didn't find here in our program something that they didn't find something that they already did. So it was not boring for them at all, because the perspective that we try to give is quite original. So I would say that could be interesting for those people if they want to shift from the restricted field of hospitality, because in the sense of hospitality management, this is not the right program. We have other programs that are more focused on management and hospitality. Here we are more focused in other things. So if people want to move from the hospitality and management to fields that I explore, this could be interesting. But if they want to remain in the hospitality, in studying hospitality, maybe this is not the only choice. The means of transportation usually used for the study trips in Europe and international, well, it was mainly the airplanes normally, and sometimes trains when they were very far, were trains and then in the inner connections, there were a lot of bus hours from a place to another, especially in the countryside of some countries, a lot of bus. So it was mixed. Planes, trains, buses. Is there a form to get in touch with ex-students? Yes, you can be in touch with ex-students. We have the platform of alumni, and the Secretary office can give you information also about this platform of alumni. They are very active. There is a person in charge of this, which is Eleonora Bergoglio. So Ilaria can also give the reference of this alumni platform to this the Martina Fiorito that asked about this. How does the thesis dissertation work alongside the internship? Is it the case that people who do the thesis dissertation as opposed to a report choose to pursue individual research? Also, is there a possibility to combine individual research projects and internship? Yes. If you do an internship, the internship is not entailing one of the two choices. Of course, if you do the internship normally and you want to make also the thesis, you will have to work hard for some months and to sleep a little bit less hours, because there are some internships that are very engaging. So, but there are students that make the internship and then they make the thesis dissertation. Otherwise, you can make the research report and take more time for studying and then make the thesis dissertation. The thesis can be also about the internship, can take suggestions from the internship. This is depending on the internship. There are students that want to write about their internship in a thesis, and then they realize that the internship didn't give enough materials for this subject, so they change subject. So, but it's very open. We can manage all the cases in a tailor-made way. I am culinary art background and not into FB retail merchandising for over 18 years across 4 continents. Will this course be in depth? Well, yes, I think so. We should explore a little bit more what you mean by that. I also write my email. You can find my email on the web, but this is my email. So if people want to get deepen into the program with specific needs about personal backgrounds, like people that maybe are out of the university of the study since a long time, I am happy to try to give some advices. career perspective, what kind of businesses and jobs are at the career day, for instance, it is very variable. There are many different fields in which our students work. And this is quite interesting, and this is also why our programs are quite successful all around the world, because we are not specializing programs. The only specialization is food as a complex system. So at the end, you can work in communication agencies. There are people that work in industrial production. There are people that work in small farms, artisanal production. There are food consultants. So consultancy is also quite common. There are people that work for non-governative organization after the master, after the program. There are people that work in hotel, restaurants, and catering, because it's a huge field, and for example, selections of products or management or choosing the communication campaign. There are students that go working for specialized small shops and short tail exchange, so farmer markets, something like that, or people that work in education and university, and also people that change and they turn to non-gastronomic activities, and they change the field, but they have learned some approach. We also try to give the approach of passion toward food as an approach that can be applicable also to other fields. So it's quite variable. Management, marketing, education, food hospitality, research, consultancy, these are the main fields. Okay. Is there an interview in addition to the dossier? It depends. Normally, we don't ask for a face-to-face interview, but in some cases we can ask. Are there career open house fairs? Yes, the Career Center organize every year 3 days with stakeholders, producers, and people from the sector, in which students meet these people and they present themselves, and some of the contacts are made in these career open house fairs. This is a very important moment of the program. In the past years, were there students with learning disability? Yes, we have students with learning disability. We have a person, a colleague that is in charge of the Learning Disability Office. So for further information about this, you write to the Secretary office, and they will give you the contact to the person to speak with, and you can share the problem and the question with him. Is the Dr. Michele Fontefrancesco. I think there were a few more questions, but I think that we have ended our time, Ilaria, and now I have to go to another presentation. So I have to leave you here, but again, feel free to contact me if you want to have more information about the program. I mean, not for financial issues, but for didactic and strategic issues. You can write me, and I will be happy to answer. And I hope to see you, some of you, in Pollenzo very soon. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.